the budget in chief. There, if there are specific, questions that you have, concerns that you have, please let me know. But this is the process that we have. I am hopeful that, between Cassell and, aligning it with a budget program software that can produce, more user-friendly budget workbooks. I'm hopeful that the next time you get to this stage, you can have a product that will be more helpful.
Cassell is what we're using now, or we're going to Cassell?
You're using a spreadsheet right now. We have Cassell for accounts payable and for accounts receivable.
Okay.
It is being used for that. It is compatible with systems like ClearGov, but there needs to be someone with that finance expertise who can do those exports into ClearGov.
It's almost like doing double work, right?
Well, you know, I think that the era of spreadsheets has come and gone, and it's time to select better methodologies.
Well, the program it is capable of running a budget, and I think that it was being used when Mark was here, and it just hasn't, the last couple of years, it just hasn't been used, so. It's just a matter of inputting the new numbers in the budget and running a report, you can probably get it.
So like if you entered, Robin, a purchase order, let's say for $30,000, Cassell, you could run a report for, for the whole year, for the month, or any adjustments that came in and out of that account with Cassell, instead of having to have a separate spreadsheet, right?
Oh, yeah, we don't use spreadsheets for our, day-to-day use. This was just for the budget, so that, Roy set it up that way so that he could just see where things needed to be changed, or, where we would add and take away, and then that needs to be put into the actual budget, into Excel.
Yeah, so the softwares that we use, and softwares are softwares, they pretty much do the same thing, they're just different softwares. But everything I put in, it would deduct, and, so if I put in a purchase order, if I, paid a salary or whatever it was, it would deduct it. A moment, as soon as I do that, you can see real time, and I can run reports and share that out, so, so that's what Cassell is doing, and that's.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can we enhance the process and methodology? Yes, absolutely.
And if I sort of say basically, once we get the permanent man or woman, they'll obviously, if they don't already know, they'll have to learn how to do that.
Fly them to Utah and give them a crash course.
Yeah, and is that something that Robin or even Carrie, I don't know if that's part of our accounts payable for the utilities, if that's all incorporated in Cassell.
It is. They're doing AP and accounts receivable from Cassell now. So that they each have their segmented portions of it. But running the financial analytics or getting the output that you want, requires some time and some real familiarity, not only with the system, but with what you are seeking to produce. There are probably a dozen pretty complex reports that you could look at. Again, this goes back to the reason I'm strongly recommending someone who has very solid municipal finance office experience.
With Cassell, sorry, do you get good customer support? Like if you have an issue, sometimes they do new batches where they developed and made some changes, so okay, you need to learn how to do the changes, and it's much more efficient. So you have great customer support then from
Yeah,
Casella.
we have issue, yeah, we can get in contact with them and they're usually back to us.
Kind of like Stratty. Stratty's great.
Yeah.
Call them, and they're calling you right back. Well, that's good to hear. So on this page, so we were talking about 24, 25, and then 25, 26. On the projected, on the 24, 25, at the very bottom of that, where it says total enterprise operating funds, projected balance, June 30th, what is our bottom line?
What line are you on?
I am on, fund summaries, where it says, why is my list open? Hold on. It's hard to see because I don't have that, let's see, 438. So it looks like we are at a minus of $438,004. Am I reading that right?
I'm trying to find.
See where,
Anticipated changes on, what is it?
the
104?
yeah, just below object code
Yeah,
101.
that's the water tank issue that I talked to you about. That is a running deficit, engineer, design and studies and some work have gone into running up that bill. And that's why, we have pressed pause, and that's my recommendation is that we, pause that entirely, not spend another dime on it.
Okay,
Until we can develop a strategy for, you had talked about reaching out to our supervisor. This would be the conversation with our United States representative to work with him for a member budget request or an earmark. Which they'll call it a grant, but it's a member earmark. They're still doing those. And so theoretically, Congressman LaMalfa has been able to secure funds for different projects, different communities throughout the district over time.
okay,
We have not benefited from that as of yet.
okay.
But there are reasons, which I'd be happy to explain to you offline, why I think that we are in a good position to make that request this year of him and his staff. And that request, it's a little far off. I think his ledge director starts reaching out around December for those, and they have some specific formatting criteria. But, do we have assurances? No, but we'll never get what we don't ask for. So we should pursue that. We should also, as the circumstances surrounding the change of administrations, as the dust settles, I believe that there will be a resumption of grant opportunities from federal agencies for local infrastructure projects. And hopefully California won't be excluded from those altogether.
So with that said, on the 25, 26, the last column where it shows we're in a negative, I don't understand what we're
The
doing.
305,
The last two columns on the second page, no, I don't see 305. It should be 900, right there, $954,060, and then the one below it. Grand total funds, right there, what is that?
right, that is reflecting, you'll see I was proposing to move $1 million in, unaudited, cash accruals from the GORE account. And based on the formulas, that then becomes recorded as a deficit because it's a debit to that fund. Even though it's moving money from one pocket into another. It's not a true deficit.
Yeah, I understand that, I'm just asking, you know, I'm learning how to read your
Well,
spreadsheet.
But really, we've been through this once. Anything else, I think you should meet with Cliff, because we've been through this. And personally, I got other things to do, but, I mean, is that something you can do?
Well, I have questions, I don't know if it's appropriate for us to talk about them here, I thought this was a budget, meeting
It
to
is.
go over a draft, the study session, so I'm studying the budget, I have questions, so if
Go
you
ahead
need to
and ask
leave,
him.
yeah.
No, go ahead and ask him, but we have been through this, and you're
I-
rehashing what we've already talked about, and I'm just having to, go through it again.
So I didn't ask that question,
So
so,
he explained what.
well, I understand the deficits versus the other things, but I'm just wondering why that's 25-26 versus the 24-25. And also the questions about the salaries, I don't see where the salaries are there. They're here,